Okay, there's a simple implementation on the Linux kernel about our ARP, and the data structure is again a hash table, which is called ARP table. And here you would the several major functions. One is ARP send, ARP receive, and ARP send would send ARP request or ARP request, and ARP receive would will receive ARP reply. Or ARP request. So if I implement ARP, I could receive a request or reply. So I might ask someone, I might issue ARP request, but I also may receive ARP request. So if I receive a request, then I need to what is this? I need to figure out I need to prepare the reply and then send it with ARP send. Okay. I might also receive the reply. Then I would update my ARP table. Okay. And the function neighbor lookup is to search the ARP hash table. If it's not found, then create one entry in the ARP table. Okay, so this simple implementation of ARP. The next thing to look at is address configuration by DHCP Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Why do you need to do address configuration? That's because you don't want to, as we see that IP address is a configure parameter. It's a parameter to be configured. And you can do that manually. I mean, configure the IP address of a host or router manually, or you can do that automatically. So you want a protocol that can help you configure the address automatically. So that's because setting IP address is error prone, and if you configure manually, it's error prone. And also, if you configure manually, the IP address will be statically assigned. But if I don't want to do static assignment, I want to do dynamic assignment, then I need this. And the reason why I need to do dynamic assignment is because I want to reuse. I want to share and reuse the IP address. If we do static assignment, static configuration, then it's once configured, it's yours. Once configured, then the IP address is yours. And even though you are not using it, then the IP address is still yours, which is bad. If we do dynamic configuration, then you got the IP address when you need it. But when you don't need it, then you release the IP address. Then the IP address can be used by someone else. So that's the purpose of having the IP address configured dynamically and automatically. So you want to do it dynamically and automatically. But how do we do that? The DHCP, how does it work? The DHCP server. It's configure I mean, DHCP is derived from boot P, and which we have just mentioned, that it gives IP address away, give away IP address. Okay, here's how it works. If you need to get an IP address or some other parameters, then you broadcast a DHCP discovery message. So the DHCP discover is a broadcast message. Again, how do we do broadcast? You put the destination MAC address of the frame to be 01. That is a broadcast frame. And this message, DHCP discover, is to identify, to find out who is the DHCP server, to identify who the DHCP server is. And then there's one DHCP server receiving it and then reply it. Or there might be a DHCP relay server or DHCP proxy. We have mentioned the idea of a proxy. So it could be a relay server or a proxy server that receive it and then forward it to the real DHCP server, and then get the configuration and then relay it back to the host. So you need to find out who the DHCP server is first, and you find out by broadcasting the message DHCP discover, and then the DHCP server will then talk to the client, and the DHCP server, the DHCP message are sent over UDP with a port number of this. So here's more detailed procedure and represented in a state diagram. So on the top you see the initial state, and then this is a client, the state diagram for the client, DHCP's client. So initially you are at the top state, and then you send a DHCP discover frame, which is a broadcast frame. And then one DHCP server or one DHCP relay proxy would then reply with a DHCP offer. So once you send the DHCP discover, you wait in the offer, and you would get the offer message, DHCP offer message. Then you know who the DHCP server is. And then you start to send the DHCP request. Once you identify who the DHCP client, DHCP server is, then you send DHCP request. And then if you receive DHCP ACK, the server has sent the ACK back, then you are binded. You are binded together with a particular DHCP server. Okay. And you got the IP address and other configuration you want, and then you stay here. However, that binding would expire. So if you don't send the DHCP request periodically to renew, and then the DHCP server reply with the DHCP ACK. If you don't do this periodically, it would expire. It would expire. Your IP address would expire. So essentially, you are leasing. You are leasing an IP address and some configuration from the DHCP server, and you need to renew the lease, renew the contract with the DHCP server. Otherwise, it would expire. If it does expire, you go here, and then you would. If it expires, then you send. If you find out it has expired, then you send DHCP request again, and wait for the ACK. So you would here, if you expire here, then you send DHCP request again, and then hopefully get the DHCP act back. Then you bind it again. Or if you are here and expire, then you come here and send DHCP request and come here and then wait for act. If you don't need the IP address anymore, then you send DHCP neg. This is neg, negative act. So then you return to the initial state. So first of all, I need to find out the DHCP server by broadcasting the DHCP discover. And once I got it, I talk with the DHCP server, send a request, and then I got the ACK. Within the ACK, I got my IP address and other configuration. Now I list the IP address, but I need to renew the contract periodically, otherwise it would expire. So if I got the IP address and I used the IP address to get onto the internet, and then I left. I go to do something else. Then the contract will expire eventually, and your IP address will be collected back by the DHCP server. And the DHCP server can issue the IP address to some other station since you have expired the contract. Okay, that's the DHCP packet format with this set of parameter. Okay, it would give you the IP address of yours and also your server IP address and your router IP address, default router. And also it has a client MAC address and host name, boot file name, some others. So these are not just the IP address, but also some other address, some other parameters that are configured from the DHCP server. So that would include default router, subnet mask, DNS server, host name, domain name, boot path. So these are configured from the DHCP server. Okay, here's a table showing you the possible DHCP message.